Shalom. In this presentation we're going to look into the names of the appointed feasts of Yahweh to see what we can find out about the construction of the word and how that word, the meaning of the word, relates to the spiritual idea behind the holiday. The Colonel says, Hebrew is a dense language for dense people. What does it mean when we say that Hebrew is a dense language? First of all, the meaning for each word is encoded in the letters of the word. Hebrew is an ancient language, and each letter represents an actual picture. And combining those pictures, we get a deeper meaning for the word. Hebrew also has a system of related roots that give a deeper meaning to each word. Finally, the grammar of the language compresses many ideas into a word unit. So when we look at a Hebrew word, many verbs begin with the letter Vav. It means and. It can have effect on the tense. The verb also is going to tell us who did the action, who they did it to, possibly the direction they were moving when it happened. So it's very dense. Each word unit has a lot of meaning in itself. The idea of the meaning in each word being coded in letters is within the realm of Paleo-Hebrew. We're not going to discuss that here. And we probably won't discuss the grammar here either, because we're just going to be looking at this system of related roots. A dense people means... So we're going to start with Pesach, which is the first of the 7 feasts. We can read about it in Exodus 13. It began at the time of the Exodus in Egypt, from Egypt, and it's considered in Hebraic thought that every occasion is a remembrance of that Exodus. So we understand it's a very foundational feast. The root is Pasach, Pei Samechet, and this is a noun that refers to both the festival and the offering. The blood of the offering was given as a protection, so Yahweh would pass over the houses. So we understand that the name of the holiday in both English and Hebrew is the idea of passing over. The root, verb root, means to walk unevenly or to skip. Exodus 12:23. For Yahweh will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when he sees the blood upon the lintel and on the 2 side posts, Yahweh will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your house to smite you. There's an extended meaning of being lame. A lame person cannot walk properly, so they kind of hobble along or skip unevenly. In 2 Samuel 4:4, we read, Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son that was lame in his feet. He was 5 years old when the tidings of Saul and Jonathan came out of Jezreel. And his nurse took him up and fled. And it came to pass, as she made haste to flee, that he fell and became lame. And his name was Mephibosheth. You remember when Saul and Jonathan were defeated, they were both killed on the same day. And this woman feared, the nurse feared for the child's life, and she picked him up to run, and he was dropped and became lame. Another extended meaning of the idea of wavering, of going from one foot to the other, of walking unevenly. In 1 Kings 18:21, it is written, And Elijah came to all the people and said, How long halt ye between 2 opinions? If Yahweh be God, follow him, but if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. That word halt there is Pasach. It's in the NSB it's translated as hesitate, and in the NIV it's translated as to waver. A parent root is a 2-letter phoneme. It's a sound. It expresses an idea, but probably doesn't express a word by itself. Some cases it does. The parent root for Pasach is just the 2 letters, Pei Samech. So we're going to begin to look into that. So the root that we see, Pei Samech, is actually used in Aramaic, and it means the hand or the palm of the hand. And we see it in Daniel 5. The chapters of Daniel from 3 to 7 are actually written in Aramaic. And so in chapter 5 it reads, then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. This is in the incident of the handwriting on the wall. So we see it means that part of the hand that was doing the writing. So by extension we see the idea of Pesamech to be the extremities of the arms and the legs, the very end part of the wrist or down to the ankle. In Genesis we read chapter 37 verse 3, Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a ketonet pasim, a coat of many colors. What does this have to do with many colors? It doesn't. The word doesn't mean many colors. It has to do with the fact that this garment came down to the wrists and down to the ankles. Only two people in Tanakh are described as having worn garments like this, and one is Joseph, the coat of many colors, and also Tamar, David's daughter, who was abused by her stepbrother. The upper-class citizens wore distinctive clothing, and they had many colored markings around the hems of their garments to indicate their status. So that is the idea behind ketonet pasim, which is translated coat of many colors. It really means it came to the ankles and the wrists where those markings would be to indicate their status. Now we're going to look at related three-letter roots that include this concept. Pasa pesamech he means a handful, or also sometimes it's translated as producing an abundance that comes from the handful. In Psalms 72:16, There shall be a handful of corn in the earth upon the top of the mountains. The fruit thereof shall shake like Lebanon, and they of the city shall flourish like grass of the earth. In some translations you see that that word handful there is actually translated as abundance. The idea is out of the handful comes an abundance. Here is a root, pe samach samach, which means to disappear or to cease, as when you get to the end of your arm it disappears. When you get to the end of your leg, if you have problems there, you can't walk properly. We see this in Psalm 12:2. Help, Yahweh, for the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail from among the children of men. We see in the New King James, the NSB, the word is translated as disappear. In other words, there are no more faithful among the children of men. Ephes is another root, aleph pesamech, a root that means to come to the end. In Genesis 47:16, and Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle, if money fail. In other words, if you have no money, if your money is zero, your money has come to an end, then Joseph was going to give them grain for bread on that presumption. Ephes also means the end of something, as in the extremities. We talk about the ends of the earth. Psalms 2:8, Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession, until the idea is we go to the earth until there is no more earth left. It's the very ends of the earth. Psalms 98:3, He hath remembered his mercy and his truth toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God.